It's time for a Mother's Day edition of the Blitz. The rookies are here, the schedule is here, and we've got the happiest mom in the building on this edition of the Blitz, starting now.
Pops out to the right, breaks a tackle. They blitz it. Prescott throws it down the right side for Lamb. Caught it! Wentz gets rid of it over the middle. It's intercepted. Back to throw, rush, sacked by Parsons. Heaves it deep down the left side for Gallup. He's got it. Touchdown!
Well, what a week it has been here at the Star in Frisco. We wrap it all up with this edition of the Blitz. Inside the Globe Live studios, Bill Jones along with Kyle Youmans. The ACM Awards back on Thursday night. The rookies arrive in town. And Kyle, can you imagine those rookies? It was a welcome to the NFL moment on Thursday night when they arrive here. And there's country music stars all over the place.
Yeah, that's a welcome to the Dallas Cowboys moment, right? There's never a dull day as a part of the franchise. And day one for some of those rookies, not a dull day. Get used to it, guys. You got a long way to go.
Well, and we, over the course of the next half hour, we will meet some of those rookies for the rookie and orientation weekend, but also on Thursday night, the schedule came out. We found out exactly when the Cowboys are going to be playing all their games in 2023, much anticipated. And how about this? It's the New York Football Giants on the road to start the regular season. There's the first 6 games of the season, including the first home game, Kyle, against Aaron Rodgers and the New York Football Jets.
Yeah, and Aaron Rodgers has had some success against the Cowboys, and really just at AT&T Stadium in general. It's where he, of course, won his singular Super Bowl with Mike McCarthy as his head coach. But you would have to think, a chance to go 2 for 2 against New York to start things off would be a great opportunity for Coach McCarthy and this Cowboys team to get off on the right foot, but certainly something to look forward to with Aaron Rodgers and company. Then you go further down the schedule. Look at the San Francisco 49ers. You really have a chance to go on the road and take down the 49ers team that has bounced you from the playoffs in each of the last 2 years. You get a bit of a revenge game in the middle of that early part of the schedule. And then speaking of revenge, how about an avenge game against Kellen Moore? Mike McCarthy versus Kellen Moore in Los Angeles, and a chance to go on the road at SoFi Stadium for another year and try and take down the Chargers with your former offensive coordinator filling in that same role with Justin Herbert and the Chargers on the West Coast.
And what stands out more than anything, all the prime time games that the Cowboys are in this season, including Thanksgiving Day. You got 7 prime time games starting with the season opener, a Sunday night game at the New York Giants, that San Francisco game, a Sunday night game, and that Monday night game at the Chargers. You go to the second third of the season, and the bye week comes on the weekend of October 22nd this week, but you started the season with 4 out of 6 games on the road, and then the middle portion of the schedule, 5 of the next 7 are here at home.
Yeah, back and forth, and that's one of the things you always look for is, yes, primetime games whenever the schedule comes out, but you also look at where the bye week is going to end up, and the fact that it's in week 7, very early this time around compared to what they've had in the past, but it sets them up for a middle part of the schedule where you can start kind of working against your division. You've got games against the New York Giants, but of course that Philadelphia Eagles is the first game up on the schedule that you could really see. You go on the road to Philadelphia in the early parts of November. That will not be a frigid temperature game. That's actually an early spot on the schedule, and I think that plays in favor for the Cowboys. Hitting them in the middle of the season rather than right there at the end whenever the temperature is surely going to drop is a good thing for the Cowboys team. But then you also talk about coming back home against the Giants. You see them in the season opener, then you get a chance to go at them again. This NFC East is different this year as opposed to it has been in years past because you saw what they were able to do last year. All eyes are on the NFC East throughout the nation. You can see that with this schedule that just got released.
Yep, and after that Giants game, then you hit the road to play Bryce Young in Carolina, the Thanksgiving game against the Washington Commanders, and then the final third of the season. As I mentioned, 3 out of the last 4 on the road, but you get that 3-game stretch of home games, the back-to-back Thursday night games, Washington, Seattle, and then Philadelphia again, and then you get closer to Christmas, and it's playing against AFC East teams on the road.
Yeah, this is going to be really, really tough. I mean, you look top to bottom down the schedule, there are playoff teams littered throughout the final 6 weeks. But I think the toughest game maybe on the entire schedule on the road at Buffalo in the middle of December. My goodness, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs and company, they're going to be they always peak at the right time. They usually peak at the right time at the end of the regular season. They are going to be tough to take down in the frigid temperatures. We talked about how it'll be better in Philadelphia. You don't catch a break in Buffalo. And then I'm really interested to see, because you go at Buffalo one week, and then you make a trip down the South Beach, and you go take on the Miami Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa and company. They're looking for a resurgent season and trying to take the next step behind Tagovailoa and Mike McDaniel as the head coach. For the most part, I think this is really this is going to be a tough stretch of games, but taking on each of those AFC East teams in back-to-back weeks, that might be the toughest 1-2 punch on the entire calendar.
And the biggest thing about that game at Miami, of course, is it's on Christmas Eve. It's a 3:25 game on Christmas Eve, and so the traveling road crew for the Cowboys, you'll get back here to the Star in Frisco about the same time that Santa Claus arrives here, right?
Santa's probably going to have a tropical shirt on, right? He'll have the button up, he'll have the palm trees. It'll be great. It'll look great, but hopefully he'll come back, and he'll come back with a Cowboys win in the bag.
Well, but with the games against NFC East opponents, playing the AFC East, across the board, it is one of the toughest schedules in the league based on records from last year, but you can throw out the record books because you never know from year to year who the strongest teams are going to be. All right, we're just getting started here on this edition of The Blitz. In a moment, we come back and we meet some of those rookies. And how about the Texas Longhorn? Yes, he is truly a Cowboy from East Texas.
The Dallas Cowboys Blitz, presented by Blockchain.com, is also brought to you by AT&T, official partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and by Blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today. This segment is brought to you by AT&T.
Welcome back to the Blitz. Bill Jones with Kyle Youmans. Yes, those names are on helmets now. The draft class, the undrafted players who have been signed as well. This is rookie mini camp weekend. Kyle, you had an opportunity to meet some of those rookies in the locker room on Friday.
Yeah, and one thing that really stood out when talking to a couple of those rookies is you always hear the saying, earn the star, because of course the rookies do not start with the star on the side of their helmet. They have to get to that point in their career and actually make the team prior to getting the logo plastered on the side. This is a group that looks like they're ready to earn the star. Lots of talk about effort and motor and really just the overarching thought process that it takes to make it at the NFL level. These guys have what it takes, it seems like.
Well, let's hear from one of those rookies. How about the guy at the top of the draft class, and that would be the first-round pick, Mazi Smith.
How appealing is it for you to play for a guy like Dan Quinn and just to be a part of a defense that's had a lot of success, especially in these last few years?
Well, I mean, it's a blessing. I wouldn't have it no other way. To be a part of something great already and try and, make it greater, and add to it and be another guy pulling in the same direction. I really couldn't ask for a better situation.
I think this NFL stage will not be too big for Mazi Smith. I don't think pretty much anything is too big for Mazi Smith. I think he's going to roll right in to the NFL. But what about this draft class in general? There's got to be so much pressure on rookies coming in to the NFL this first weekend here. Who do you think has the most pressure on them?
This is interesting because for the most part, you're right. There has been a lot of pressure, especially with the Dallas Cowboys, to have rookies provide an impact early in their career. You think about 7 of the last 10 drafts have included a Pro Bowler out of their draft class. So I don't think that's necessarily all the pressure on this rookie class to keep that going. But outside of Mazi Smith and Luke Schoonmaker, Everybody else, the rest of the draft picks, are developmental type players. Even DeMarvion Overshown, who was a third rounder, he's expected to come in and rotate in, but is he expected to be a starter at linebacker or a starter at edge rusher? Not necessarily. Deuce Vaughn, he can come in and rotate through with Tony Pollard and company. They can really use some of these undrafted free agents too to fill those holes. But with Mozzie Smith being a first-round pick, you expect him to come in and do exactly what he was brought to do, and that's stuff the run and provide a little bit of pass rush. Luke Schoonmaker, he's expected to come in and be better as a second-round pick than Jake Ferguson and Peyton Hendershot were a year ago. And he even talked about that this week in the locker room, saying that he has a great connection with those guys and he has a lot of confidence coming into this sort of situation that he can come in and be that top guy. Those two have the expectations. The rest of the class can really grow into their role.
Yeah, and the opportunity is there for Luke Schoonmaker. I think he fits right into that tight end room. And I'm really interested in seeing Junior Fehoko, the fourth-round pick, as well.
And I don't think there's pressure on Junior Fehoko. I think there's more of an excitement with him because what he brings from a pass rush standpoint will just be the cherry on top for that rookie class to be able to put that production in the fold.
All right, speaking of pass rushers, we check in with Micah Parsons when we come back here on the Blitz. And exactly what is Micah up this offseason?
This segment was brought to you by AT&T. This segment is brought to you by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
So the workouts you've been doing down in Austin to try to add more good weight, as you call it, is that more about just trying to reduce the wear and tear on the edge position when you have to play?
Yeah, and just trying to stick in the run. You know, it's hard, battling 300-pound guys at 245 pounds every week. So I'm just trying to put 5 pounds of muscle, just eating right and just living right.
Micah Parsons, couple of weeks away from his 24th birthday. Does he look a little heavier there? He says it's good weight that he's putting on this offseason. Early days of this offseason, working out down in Austin, and he's tweeting about it. He's talking about it with the media, and you look at him, and it's everything is designed for Micah Parsons to be able to get to the quarterback as much as possible. That's what Micah wants to do.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And adding some weight is a good thing for Micah Parsons to be able to do that better because, of course, started his career as a linebacker. There you see about half the snaps was at the second level. And then last year, he really made a switch most of the time, 80% of the time to be exact, up on the line of scrimmage. So if you're going to do that, you're battling more physical players. Those blockers aren't tight ends. They aren't running backs out of the backfield. You're going up against some of the best blockers in football, offensive tackles, offensive guards. In order to do that, you're going to have to add some sort of weight to your game. And yeah, he's not going to be nowhere near 270. He's not going to be nowhere near 260. But if you can put him at the 255 range, it doesn't compromise the speed. He can still go sideline to sideline. He can still stop the run. So adding some of that weight and adding some strength is a good thing to compound with what he's already shown he can do as an NFL defender.
The other thing about it is he has now realized through 2 seasons into this league just how long this season is and the wear and tear on this season, and to be able to be as strong at the end of the season that he is at the first half of the season.
Yeah, and we've seen it so far through the 2 seasons that he's played is he's very strong at the beginning, but then teams like to double team him. Teams will go and slash at him. I mean, they take his feet out from underneath him plenty of times throughout the year, so that way, yes, by the time you get into the deeper parts of a 17-game season, there's going to be a factor of wear and tear on his body. If you can add some weight, he'll be more durable and he'll be more used to that by the time the end of the season comes around. And I think there's a way that he can still remain in that defensive player of the year conversation, even with that added weight.
Well, here's the other part of it is the Cowboys had to do what they could at the linebacker position as far as their roster is concerned, and the development of Damone Clark last season, now going into his second year alongside Leighton Vander Esch, and as much as Dan Quinn uses 3 safeties on the field all the time, as much as they are in the nickel package, the dime package, it allows you to use Micah rushing the passer more.
No, it definitely does, and it frees him up to play on the line of scrimmage, play back. He won't be 100% one or the other, but it gives him a couple ways to use Micah Parsons, and that's something that Dan Quinn loves to do, is use him in multiple ways and show that versatility.
All right, coming up here on the Blitz, it is Mother's Day, and we meet a very special mom when we come back.
This segment was brought to you by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
Welcome back to this Mother's Day edition of the Blitz, and we have a very special guest joining Haley Sutton this week. It's the mom of the Cowboys' first-round draft pick.
Well, we had the chance to chat with Mazi Smith earlier today, but I feel like I'm a little bit more excited to get to chat with his mom. This is Kenya, Cowboys Nation. Kenya, for you, I'm sure, just as it was for Mazi, this has been such a whirlwind, but your son's a Dallas Cowboy. How does it feel?
It's surreal. You know, I think I'm still in shock, and I have to pinch myself. He's a Dallas Cowboy. Wow. Wow.
Tell us a little bit about Mazi. I mean, we know what we get out of the player. He's got great physicality, great strength, but what does Cowboys Nation need to know about Mazi, the person?
Mazi is compassionate. He's a thinker. You're getting a great person. I think he's been here before. You know?
Yeah. He told us on the bus he's a little bit of a jokester, too.
Yes, he can be, but you know, Mom's like, leave me alone with it. But he can be very funny. We like to, you know, laugh a lot. You know, laughter makes life easier.
What's been your favorite part of this journey so far?
Him graduating.
We love that.
Yeah, he's a graduate. And just seeing him smile, seeing him happy, seeing him live out the dream that he wanted to be in the NFL.
As his mom, you know, you've seen him grow, you've seen him develop, but to now see a fan base already embrace this guy, day one as a Cowboy, and they're already welcoming in, how special is that?
It's a wow. It's a wow moment. I thought coming out of the airport, I would see a sign with his name on it.
We joked about having a sign. We should have made a sign.
But I thought it would be one person, a driver, but it was this whole crew, and I'm like, wow. So I had to take pictures of you guys, because these are also memories for me too, you know, and I want to capture everything that I see as well.
How proud of him are you?
I am extremely proud of him. I only have one child, and he knocked it out the park. So I am extremely proud and happy for him.
And if you could give him a message that he hasn't heard yet, what would you tell him?
Keep your head up, focus, work hard, and take the bus.
Take the bus. Well, Ms. Kenya, thank you so much for chatting. We are so excited to have Mazi as a Dallas Cowboy.
Thank
and we're
you.
excited to have you as a Dallas Cowboy as well.
Yes, go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys.
All right, thank you, Haley, and happy Mother's Day, Kenya Smith and all you moms out there. We wrap up the Blitz in just a moment, so where will Mazi suit up for the first time as a Dallas Cowboy when we come back? And who's coming to Arlington in August? It's a Colleyville Heritage Panther.
The Dallas Cowboys Blitz, presented by Blockchain.com, was also brought to you by AT&T, official partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and by Blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today.
You just think you saw all of the Cowboys' schedule. Yes, 3 more games. This is the way the season will start. The preseason schedule dates have not been announced just yet, but week number 1 of the preseason, Jacksonville comes to AT&T Stadium, then on the road at Seattle, and then the Las Vegas Raiders will be here to close out the preseason. Now you know the entire 20-game schedule for the Dallas Cowboys in 2023.
And it's going to be interesting to see Seattle both in the preseason, and then you also see them in the regular season as well, kind of a 1-2 punch against the Seahawks. You don't see that a ton, but whenever you do, it does bring an added element. And then the fact that it's an interconference rival like that, then you've got to see them possibly in the playoffs for a third time. You almost never hear about that from a team that's outside of your division. So expect to see quite a few of those Seahawks over the next couple of months.
And those two home preseason games against Jacksonville and Las Vegas. And really, when you look ahead for these rookies that arrived here, I love the way the Cowboys do it now, waiting a week before they have the rookie mini camp, because now they can go right in to work with the veterans this week. You think there was pressure on the rookies this weekend? Wait until they get up there in the locker room with those veterans.
Oh, that's when you see the merge of the talent and the youth going back and forth, and you really see what you have from the rookie class. So it's going to be exciting whenever you can mix in the rookies with the veterans, and then you get ready for those preseason games. That's when things really start to come to light.
OTA is just over a week away, and training camp will be here before you know it. Thanks for joining us here for the Blitz, and we'll see you again next week.